Okay, now it's moving. Okay, sorry about that. I will attempt to cut that out for the replay if I remember how to do that. Anyway, welcome. This is 3 on Thursday, which is a live crafting class that I do every Thursday. We make 3 cards. I give you all of the sizes, the paper information, the stamp information, so that you can make them, and you can either use them with the same everything that I use, or you can recreate them with what you have in your stash. Either way is fine. I just wanted to give you inspiration so that you can be crafty. So, with that being said, my name is Michelle, and I am Crafters Northwest. I do currently use Stampin' Up! Products. I was previously a Close to My Heart maker, so I used Close to My Heart products. So if you look at past videos, that is what you're going to see. I don't plan on taking those videos down anytime soon, so you do have more than a year's worth of videos that you can go back to. I know last year about this time is when I was coming back. I had to take some time off because we were redoing the floors in our downstairs, and so part of the time we were doing the floors in my crafting area, and when we weren't doing the floors in my area, all of the items from the other areas were in my crafting area, so I literally didn't have the ability to do them. So we're about a year from that. I don't recall the actual date that that I started doing those videos again, but there is probably a good year prior to that on YouTube, and then there's a year prior to that ish, give or take, on Facebook. So there is a ton of free card classes for you guys to take and watch and listen and whatnot at your own leisure. I do need to update some things with the photos. Some of those cards have gone and I don't have the photos, and things like that. So that is what that is. I think that we should probably get started. What do you think? Let me actually show you last week's cards. I mean to do this every week and I often forget. And it's not intentional. I just get so focused. This was the first card that we did, and all of the cards last week were Fun Fold cards. They all used the 24 through 26 in color DSP stack. If you are not familiar with some of the terms, DSP is Designer Series paper, and that is the printed pretty papers. Okay. In colors, every other year, Stampin' Up! Does a set of 5 colors that are new to the palette, usually new to the palette, and those are good for 2 years, so 24 through 26. So the in colors in total create a family of 10, like all of the other families, and they rotate, 5 of them rotate every single year, but they are there for 2 years. So hopefully that makes sense. So this is the first card that we did. I talked about how we did this coloring. We flip it open and it does have a card on the inside for you to write your note. You could also put a gift card in there if you wanted to do that. Next up, oh, and this is Pretty in Pink, is this main color. This is Summer Splash. And that is that Fun Fold. And then we have this guy with a hidden sentiment. So it's a fun fold, a fun close, because that hidden sentiment tucks in behind our main front sentiment. And this is Petunia Pop is the main color on this. So we had a hexagon theme for all of the cards with 3 different hexagons. And yeah, there was kind of a running theme last week. That being said, there is also a running theme for this week, and this week it's all about the guy cards, right? Because Father's Day is Sunday. So if you don't have a card yet, I have a couple of super easy cards for you to do. And then the last one is going to be a birthday card, which is also good for guys. And the last card is actually going to take the longest, but it's not hard. It just, there's lots of pieces to it. So let's go ahead and get started with the first card. So here we have our envelope. Isn't that a fun tree? And our card. Really, actually fairly simple. So this stamp set is actually from the May Paper Pumpkin Kit, which you can get refills for. But I wanted to show you guys in case you got the kit and wanted to do something different, or use your stamp in another way, because the only thing that I used from the kit is the stamp set. I did not use any of the pieces. So it comes with, or came with, Misty Moonlight ink spot. I love that you always get tissue paper in your boxes. And I feel bad that I haven't shown this to you guys prior. But this is kind of how all the kits come. It comes with the stamp set as well, but obviously that's not in there anymore because I've used it. But you get the adhesive, dots, and foam dimensionals that you need to put this together. Right, so that's pretty cool. So you don't need anything except the block that you get in your first box. Okay, so it comes with envelopes. So your refill kit you can get, I'm actually unsure if it comes with the dimensionals and glue spots. And I'm unsure if it comes with the ink as well. So those are maybes, but you would get the rest of this. So you got the envelopes that are pre-printed, they're white inside. And then you have the pieces for the cards, also pre-printed. There's that kind of tree again. Here are your card bases for the first card. We have some shapes, and you can see this is that hexagon shape that we used last week. It was part of the add-on kit. Here are some pieces that use that same kind of wood design of my favorite paper from the Country Woods papers. Here is the next card base. Again, the hexagon, some kind of trees off to the side. That would have been kind of a fun idea. Anyway, we have 3 circles. And then the last card base, and this is a paper from the Country Woods paper line. And then we have these color die cuts for that. Then you have your chipboard, and then you have an insert. This is the stamp set that we're going to be using. And then instructions, full color instructions on how to put everything together. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick view of that. So if you wanted the refill kit, you can get that. Like I said, you do have to be a subscriber to get the refills or the add-ons, but the kits are great. So that being said, let's go ahead and do all of our things. So this is the block that you'll get, obviously without the stamp on it. This is the block that you will get with your first Paper Pumpkin kit. And if you've had Paper Pumpkin in the past where you got your block, I had signed up many years ago. And when I re-signed up, I used the same email. So I did not get another block. So if you ever had Paper Pumpkin in the past and you're signing up again, maybe use a different email. Shh, I didn't say that. Excuse my reach. My ink is back behind over there. All right, so we are going to use Copper Clay ink today. All right, so we have our envelope. We have a oh my gosh, my brain just totally spaced on the name of this paper. Crumb cake. We have a crumb cake paper base. We have a Country Woods DSP piece and a white piece. They're both 4 by 5 1/4. We have an extra piece in case we stamp terribly, but we have 2 dies, the both sizes, from the Something Fancy dies. So you get all of these tags and labels in this kit, or not kit, it's a die set. So we're using both sides. Size is one is white, and well, one is thick white, and the other is that same Country Woods paper, but we're going to use the back side. We have 1/2 inch by 4 inches, and we have 5/8 by 4 inches of Early Espresso cardstock. So this one is easy. All right, so remember when we're opening, we're gonna push so that we can pop it, and then flip and slide. These are foam pads, not fabric pads, so you do not want to press very hard. We're just going to stamp this in the bottom left front corner, and my goal is to get the ground for the trees at the bottom of the envelope, and I'm going off the edge ever so slightly. Okay, next up we're going to grab a post-it note. It doesn't have to be this big. I had already torn this one off. That's my scrap paper. And we are going to do some eyeballing. So I managed on my card to be in the middle because of misplacing things. I wanted it to be up on the 1/3. Oh, I forgot to tell you kind of what our theme was. Besides, guys. So you've seen me in the past show you that there are sketches in the book. Get to that page. Right, we have card signs at the bottom of page 22, and we have used those in a previous video. But you can get inspired anywhere So we are being inspired by this page, and all 3 cards are being inspired by a card on this page. Alright, so I wanted originally for this to be kind of about here, right? So I am going to put my Post-it about halfway down where that label is and move that label. Okay. I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And just so I can kind of see where I want things. I want to put things right about here. I want to make sure to stay on the cardstock. So my large tree is right at the top of that Post-it note. Okay. Right? Pretty simple so far. So we're going to take this up and we're going to kind of essentially just reverse it. Again, kind of put our label down. And sometimes, depending on where you stamp it and whatnot, you might be able to see the tree trunk on the side of the label. And if that's the case, you want to make sure to line that up. In our case, you can't really, so that's good. And we want these tree trunks to look like they're coming down further. So I want to move my mask down just a little bit more. And I am going all the way to that left edge so that I don't oops and get any leaves, ouch, any leaves on the paper where I don't want it. So I'm just gonna line this up and move this down until my large tree is at the bottom of our mask, our Post-it. Okay, so the smaller tree will have some leaves showing, but that's okay because we're going to cover that up essentially like that. Okay, so just like that. So let's finish our stamping. All right, our inside needs Happy Father's Day to you. We're gonna see if we can get this straight. That is not very straight. It's also kind of coming through. So let's grab another piece. And let's try that again. Much better. It's not on my block straight, so that is why I'm having such a hard time with that. All right. You're the best there is. All right, so I want to show you. I just pushed way too hard. And look at all the ink that I have between the letters and stuff. That is going to cause a mess later. I'm positive. So let's just stamp that off and press with my fingers so that we can get between those letters and not press so hard. Okay. And that is the stamping for this card. Let's put some stuff together, shall we? Alright, we're going to leave that one. So, we're going to bring this piece in. Let's verify where we want this. Alright, so right there. And if that isn't quite the right spot, that's okay. It's going to be the spot now. Oh goodness. We're just going to center this on our card front. I try to always rub the backside so that I don't inadvertently rub any possibly still wet ink. Make sure we're putting this in the right spot. Look at this. So we are almost done with our first card. We are just going to center these. And then use some dimensionals to pop this up. Okay. And I do not have my piercing tool on here. And then, easy peasy lemon squeezy, we are just going to center this left and right, and with our early espresso ribbon centered on those little notches. And voila! We are done with card number 1. Super simple. And these will slightly lighten as they dry. So So keep that in mind. All right, card number 2. Here is our envelope. So we are using the Take to the Sky, Adventurous Sky stamp set. The paper that matches this is called Take to the Sky. And look at how fun this card is. The coloring is super simple, I promise. So, what do we have? We have, of course, our envelope, right? I have pre-stamped and pre-die cut the plain, and it's stamped in Memento black ink. I was trying to remember the color, and my brain said, nope. So it is the other green in color, Shy Shamrock. This is a Shy Shamrock base that is scored at 5 1/2 instead of at 4 1/4 like this one is. We have a piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4. And we have 2 more pieces of white. And I did not write down the measurements because I was like, oh, I can remember these. I don't know why I keep lying to myself like that. All right, so this is, well, I guess let's go with the easier one first. So this one is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And this one is 3 3/8 by 4 3/8. That's why I thought I could remember it, but all right. So we are doing nothing with the middle-sized white piece, okay? Right, we have 3 sizes. These 2 are pretty close, but they're slightly different. Okay, so we're doing nothing with the middle one, so we're gonna put it off to the side. Okay, so let me move these a little bit, and I need to bring in my scratch piece, and we are going to start with the smallest white piece, and we are going to bring in our stamps, and these are they're messy because I made a mess out of them when I was making the samples and I did not clean them. So these are all of the stamps that we're going to be using for this card. It's all from the same stamp set. Okay, so we're going to start with the largest one, the largest cloud, that is. And we are going to use basic gray ink. And some of these pop so much easier than the others. Like the copper clay one you saw, that one was super easy. This one does not want to pop open. Okay, so we are going to do a 3rd generation stamp. So that means we are going to ink up our stamp. We're going to stamp 1, 2, and then we're going to stamp 3. Okay, and then we're going to do that again. So that one was at the top, 1, 2, and this one's going to be kind of at the bottom, and we're doing 2/3-ish of the large cloud. Okay, and that's it, we're done with that one. And that's where we mess up. So before we continue with the clouds, let's do our sentiment. And let's hope I can get it straight because I did not cut an extra piece. Apparently I had faith in myself. Alright, try to get this straight. That is not straight. Alright, let's try that again. Alright. Please excuse my head or whatever body parts might get in the way. That one we're going to call close enough to straight. Alright, so let's do that cloud again. Alright, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, next up, our medium cloud, and we're going to do the same thing, third generation. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Alright, done with that one. Now the little tiny baby cloud. 1, 2, 3, and I have this one off the edge. I did not on my sample, although I did on my original sample, and then I got the sentiment crooked. Okay. So we did 3 of the baby clouds. We have one at the top that's off. We have one at the bottom that is literally just in the corner. And then one kind of in the center on the left, right there. Okay, that piece, done. Alright, next we're going to do the plain on the envelope flap. And this one, it doesn't actually matter if you're straight or not, because it's an airplane. It doesn't have to be straight. Voila. Okay. And then we are going to do this kind of patchwork steel design. And we're going to do the bottom right corner and the top left corner of our inside piece. Okay? And we're going to open up our base, our card base, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stamp in the top left and the bottom right, but we're actually going to go over the fold and onto the back side. Okay. And we're going to go off the edge on the bottom as well. So I have the corner kind of all the way at the edge. So we want to make this kind of as thick as we can. So this is the front, carries over to the back. And then I just wanted to add a little bit more to the back on the bottom. You don't have to. It just made it a little bit extra fun. Alright, done stamping. we're going to do a little bit of coloring. So I have 2 sets of pens. So I have the bronze and ivory pens. And these are the Stampin' Blends. And then I have the light and dark gray granite. Okay. So I also have, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I tend to create a jig of sorts for my die cuts so I can stamp in the Misty. And we're actually going to have this help us today. Right? So I have a little bit of washi and a little, marker arrow thing on the back side, so it's going to hold our piece so that our fingers are not in the way. So we are going to start first with the ivory, and there are 2 ends. Because I haven't showed you guys yet. So you have a brush end, which gives you kind of a wide tip, and then you have a bullet end, so it's much easier to write with. Not that we're writing, but so I am going to use the brush end. Use what's comfortable to you, and I would highly recommend stamping on just some scrap cardstock and practice your coloring with it. That's what I did. My first few were terrible, let me tell you. Like, not even funny terrible. Like, they were just bad. Okay. So we're going to do some quick swipes, and there might be a few spots of white left over. That's okay. And I'll show you why that's okay here in just a few moments. So we're doing all of the wings and the tail with the ivory. And then we're going to take the bronze, again with the brush end. And we're going to flip this around because I found it's easier to flip it around, and we're just going to do 1 swipe along the back edge of the wings. I know, you're thinking, Michelle, this looks terrible. What are you thinking? And you're right, it kind of does. But we're going to fix it. Because we're going to come back in with our ivory. And we're going to start at that dark color, and we're going to come up and bring that color up. So it creates a faded effect once it's dried. So while these are alcohol markers like the Spectrum Noirs, they do act slightly differently than those did. So it'll be similar, it'll be close, it will not be the same as what you're used to if you're used to coloring with those pens. So please be aware of that. Okay, so there were a few spots that I got really outside of the lines, and so I'm going to grab my color lifter, and again, this works similar to the blending pen, but it does actually work, I think, a little bit better. And I'm not just saying that because this is what I have now. I'm saying it because it really seems to be the case. Right, so I'm just doing a quick kind of lift. And my die cutting was not spot on, and that's okay. So some of these, it goes a little bit further down. Alright, so we are going to take the dark, and we're going to use the bullet end, and we're going to color in the tires, just the rubber part of the tires. And we're going to give that a few seconds to dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to add another layer, because I don't have the black markers, so we're just going to make the gray ones darker. Right? Simple enough. Then we're going to take the light one, also bullet end, and we're going to color in the centers of the tire of the wheels. We're going to color the legs for the wheels. We're going to color in the nose, and then we're going to do the, I don't know what they're called. We're going to do these stand-up posts, and you need to have a super light hand. The lighter your hand, the thinner the mark. Okay. Now we're going to stick with the same pen, but we're moving over to the brush end now. And you see all the lines that we have here? These are the shading lines, or the movement lines. And so we're going to add some color to those. So we're going to do a quick swipe back here at the end, along the belly, here underneath the cockpit, and then here underneath the nose. And then we're just going to trace over the movement markers for the prop at the front of the plane. And that's it. Our plane is now colored and ready to go. And it didn't take too terribly long. Now, you could color in the body to be a different color, right? But I was wanting to kind of stick with this color theme, so to speak. So that is it for all the prep, and now we just are gluing everything together. All right. Now this one is a very small border, so be aware. If you are not great with very small borders, maybe you want to use a liquid adhesive instead of the Stampin' Seal. Okay, so we're just centering that. And then I'm going to use these little guys. Where? One second here. There it is. So these are the mini dimensionals. And they work fabulously. This actually might be easier with my tweezers. let's use an edge piece. Put that there in the center. All right, give everything a press. The few fingernails I had last week broke off right after the video. So I was happy they lasted till the video was over, but now I have no fingernails. Okay. Then we're gonna just put this at a slight angle. And then if you had the industrial trinkets, you can add those on there for a little bit of extra bling or, you know, whatever. I don't have those. They were out when I ordered. So there you go. You're the best, plain and simple. So if you wanted, you could also add Happy Father's Day on the inside or not. I think that would still be a good Father's Day card, even if it doesn't say Happy Father's Day, right? Okay, so last card, I actually did not do anything with the envelope, and this is the card itself. So I am working with scraps now of this paper packet, which is probably actually called something different. Habits die hard. But I thought it was fun, so I am using still that same die set, just using this small hexagon. Okay. And then the inside, I just used the pieces that I cut off the front side. So let's make that one. I'm actually not positive which color this is. So let's see if we can figure this out. Gray granite. Yep. That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was unsure. So this is gray granite base. I have 2 white pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. I have a whole bunch of hexagons cut from the Take to the Sky paper packet. So I have 4 of the gray map, which is the backside of the cut apart. I have 3 of the copper clay weave, 3 of the mossy meadow maps, and 2 of the Night of Navy weave. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our stamping first. This will be super simple. We are using Happy Birthday from the Simply Said stamp set. And Night of Navy ink. I do not have the larger ink yet, so I'm using the bitty baby one. This actually came in a paper pumpkin kit. So these little things are so handy. Alright, done stamping. Right? So easy. Now, I am going to use the Tombow Mono glue just so I have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to laying out the hexagons. So these will come off the sides a little bit. So let's grab our silicone sheet. Let's take off the glue. It just rubs right off. You saw that, right? It's so handy. So here's a little piece here. Just rubs right off. Alright. So I am essentially just going to line them up like this. Right, so we only have a little bit off the edges, and if that bothers you, you can make it super even. And then we'll do this one at the bottom. Sorry. So I do recommend that you get your first layer straight so that the rest of your card can be straight. I have a friend who doesn't watch my videos. Every time I say something similar to that, her voice pops up in my head. Because she would say that she is not straight, so her stuff won't be straight either. And a few other sayings that are very, very similar. She is a hoot. I love her. Alright, this bottom one, I am lining up the points so they line up with the bottom edge of the white piece. And then we're just going to kind of fill in everything. So I'm trying to keep the same-ish spacing between my hexagons. Right, so everything is nice and neat. And like I said at the beginning, this one will probably take the longest, maybe. But it's not because it's hard. It just has more pieces to it. Now, if you end up having space at the top, which might happen because I did not lay these out. I apologize. I don't know if you can hear that motorcycle or not, but you probably can because it's quite loud And you can hear my dishwasher running when it's running, so you probably can hear that. Anyway, if for some reason you have extra space at the top, that's okay. You can either use a little bit more paper. Sorry, got a little bit of glue on my finger, which is now on the paper and it wants to be sticky. So we have a little bit extra up here that I would rather not have, but we do have. And you can see here, I managed to get these essentially at kind of the halfway point, which is not going to be the case for these ones. Totally fine. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put these ones on, right? Gotta do that part regardless. So instead of using all of these pieces on the inside, we won't use all of them, but we can probably still use some. Okay, so let's do some trimming and then go from there. So I'm just going to snip these right along the edge. Easy peasy. So these ones I am going to cut on the long side first, so I have the most amount of usable space. There's a little bit of glue sticking out from that one. Alright, so we are just going to take one of these leftovers and just glue it right down there. Before we do that, we're going to take our eraser and get rid of some of that extra glue. Now, do you have to do this? No. But I do it because my brain would not be happy with the amount of white that's right there. So, you do what makes you happy. So now we don't have the 3 pieces to put down here at the bottom, but I can take this one piece and just put it down in the corner. And if I wanted to, I could take this other piece and put it up here in the upper corner, which I actually really like that idea. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then that ties the front into the inside. It's not matchy-matchy, but it clearly goes together. I actually think I like this one better than the sample one. Okay. Put our piece on the inside. So one of the things I do, and you guys have probably seen me do it, but not necessarily realized what it is that I'm doing, is when you cut your paper for your bases, sometimes one side is ever so slightly longer than the other side. And so you'll see me pick it up and you'll see me flip it over, and then I'll do some, open it up to put whatever on the inside or whatnot. So what I'm doing is I'm seeing in this case that the back is ever so slightly longer than the front. So I'm going to make the longer one be the front, and then I'm going to put my inside piece on the inside. That way it looks nicer from the top, right? Super easy to do. And just makes it look really nice and cohesive. Make sure our bottom is at the bottom. Can I get this up? Oh, look at that, I can. Alright, I didn't want to do this part yet. But that's okay, because that just came up really nicely. Alright, let's go ahead and put that there. I did the same thing with when I was making the sample. Alright, we are using some gray twine from the Basics twine? I don't know. And we're going to do 4 fingers 3 times. You know what, let's just do 2 times this time. I did 3 times last time. Let's do 3. Wow. 2 times this time. Okay. So 2 on this side. Technically I have 3 on that side. That's okay. So we have our loop, right? We're just going to twist it in the middle. Just like that. And we're going to plop it down on our card. Right? And just kind of, if you want, you can kind of futz it up a little bit. Like that. And have one side smaller than the other, or not. Totally up to you. Alright. We have our sentiments that we stamped. I do not recall. Oh yes, they do. Perfect. So we are going to use a few of these. However, we also don't really want to go much further than where the edge of the sentiment is. So where my B is where I want my dimensional to be. Okay, same with happy, where the H is where I want that dimensional. Ish. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, that one is clearly not perfect. But that's okay, because we need this one to be just a little bit longer. Okay. So we're going to go with birthday first. Peel off the backings. And attach that on there. And then the same with Happy. Of course, we are making sure this is as straight as we can. Unless you don't want to. Like, you can totally make it wonky. If one is straight, I would recommend they both be straight. That's kind of how that works, right? And then we're just going to use the edge of our piece to snip these off. Alright, now we can glue this to the front of our card. It's easier to cut those off when that piece is not yet attached to the front of the card. And there's our card. Now, we could probably pull this out because I don't actually have any dimensionals directly on top of any of that twine. But I'm not going to do that, right? And the person getting it isn't going to do that either. So, if you had extra pieces, you could line your envelope with that. If you want to do the happy birthday on the envelope, you could do that too. We're not going to on today's video just because. So this is card number 3. Card number 2. And card number 1. Ooh, not even on screen. Let's adjust. And there you have it. 3 fun cards. Took us about an hour or so to make them all. And I think that's not terribly bad. So hopefully this inspires you to make a card, or any project for that matter. Maybe you like to paint. Maybe the airplane is inspiring you to do some watercolors, or who knows, something. My goal is to inspire you to be creative in some fashion. So hopefully today's video does that for you. If it does inspire you, I would love to see what you create. So please come join me over in my Facebook group and share what you've made. We would love to see it, and we would love to give you praise and kudos and tell you how beautiful it is. So please do come share. We really do like to see that. I'm not just speaking for myself. I, of course, love to see it, but I know all of the other crafters that are in the group would love to see it as well. So come on over to Crafters Northwest, share it, and then get some love, because everybody loves love. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you leave a comment on the video, you'll be entered to win one of these cards, or maybe more, depending on how generous I'm feeling. There will be blog posts for these cards. Each card will have an individual blog post on different days this week. It will have the shopping links for you in case you wanted. It will have the measurements, and it will have the link back here to this video. And so it'll be super simple for you. So thank you so much. Remember, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.